And the rest of the dead did not come to life until the 1,000-year were ended. This is the first resurrection. Blessed is and blessed and holy are those who share the first resurrection. The second death has no power over them, but they will be priests of God and of Christ and will reign with him 1,000 years, for 1,000 years. So who's going to be on the throne with Christ when he comes in this setting up process? Who? No, but who's going to be on the throne? The righteous. What are we going to be doing? Judging. Who's going to be judging? The world. Before God does it in chapter 21, or the latter part of chapter 20. And they had to come to help you get judged. But we're going to judge them on earth. All right, be seated tonight. I want to talk about tonight, so we can say some time. Write this down. This is what we're going to deal with tonight, first half. We're going to deal with what's called the millennium ring. The millennium ring, okay? M-I-L-L-E-N-N-I-U-M. Millennium ring. Okay? M-I-L-L-E-N-N-I-U-M. Millennium ring. Okay? Can I teach y'all tonight? Okay. Millennium means just what? 1,000 years. That's all it means. 1,000 years. Write that down. 1,000 years. Write down 1,000 years. Why do we want to go take the time to say millennium? Because we have to understand this is what's taking place. A millennium reign, for it means 1,000 years before chapter 21 and chapter 22 take place. The new heaven, the new earth, the new Jerusalem, all be manifest. There's something that has to take place on the earth, and the only way it's going to get done, we got to do something sacred. Christ's going to do something sacred. Okay, so we're going to deal with what is called the millennium years. Now I want to bore you just to help some that really want to know the in-depths of the book of Revelation. So this is probably going to be for 2% of people that's here tonight. This ain't going to be for the 98%, so you probably don't want to hear this, so you can just act like you're doing something else for 2-3 minutes. I want to have it for the sake of the book and those that want to have it. Okay? Now, many scholars and many believe that's where, when you deal with really Revelation chapter 4 and Revelation chapter number 20, it becomes very argumentative. The reason that it becomes very argumentative is because there are 3 views or 3 approaches of how they see the millennium. The first one is called the premillennium. Premillennial. Okay, not millennial. Just all you got to do when you spell it just like it was, get to the end of it, I-A-L. Drop you in. Okay, millennial. I'll talk about that in a little bit. The second view or approach of many believe that it's what is called the amillennial. Just put the A in front of millennium. And at the end, keep it the same way, I-A-L. Okay? Some call it the amillennial or the amillennial. Just for the 2% that wants it. And the third one is called the postmillennial. Okay? They have 3 different views and approaches. The reason I want to have the 2% is because many of you are going to be expository teachers. And you're going to have to communicate. And you can't be out there trying to talk to a world when you don't know what you're talking about. You got to do more than all I know Jesus is going to make it way. No, you got to do more than that when you're trying to win somebody. And we're living in a time where Muslims and the different persuasions of belief is out there, and they are educated in what they know, and you sit there still talking about you don't know. Because the people that you're trying to win, you got to understand they're not dummies. They got questions. Are you following what I'm saying? So some people that are lost study more and better than some people that say they fine. Okay? So when you understand what is called the amillennial, that the A by itself just tells us they don't believe that there will be a millennial reign for 1,000 years where Jesus is really going to naturally come down to the earth and begin to set up his kingdom and temple, beginning the process at all. They just believe it's an elapsed time. Okay? The post-millennial, many believe that a lot of things have already through time escaped, and many believe that even when Jesus died and went to death, hell, in the grave, that when he went down there, when he took the keys from Satan and bound him, that Satan is already bound. I don't believe that. But who am I? But I'm your leader. So that's why we have this theology that many of you even still say, because you still have that mindset from which you were brought up. That's why you'll say things because it sound powerful, and it sound nice, and it sound cute, and you'll say things like, tell Satan to go back to hell from which he came. That's not biblical. That's not even biblical. Number one, it's not biblical because Satan didn't come from hell. Satan came from heaven and created by God as a beautiful angel. Satan ain't never been in hell. You don't even like that, right? Because that's your teacher. So you trying to tell him to go where he ain't been. Okay. Y'all breathe in, breathe out. Okay. Satan, you got to understand. So many believe that Satan right now is in this abyss, which is the opposite of hell anyway. But Jesus never did go to the bottomless pit. Okay? So that can't be true. Hell and the bottomless pit or the abyss is not the same place. Matter of fact, hell and the lake of fire is the same place. These are different places. Let me see your hand if you can understand a little bit of that right now. Is this happening in you? Yes. So I need y'all to quit saying stuff like you need to. If you're going to say anything, you need to show yourself proof. Quit saying stuff you don't know. Right. The Bible said be willing to give every man a reasonable answer. Sometimes a reasonable answer is let me get back with you. Yes, sir. Quit trying to be more than you are, you don't know what it is. Because one thing I learned about people, they can respect you more if you get back with them with what it is you don't know. Then tell them something, then they find out later that you know what you thought. Okay. Can I pour y'all for at least 7 more minutes and we'll go somewhere else? Can y'all give me that? Okay, let me pour you a little bit more. Okay, so they believe that Satan is already bound 1,000 years, and we just waiting on Christ to come back, and everything that just happened in the world, it just happened. Right. Because if Satan is in hell right now, bound up and stuff going on like this, I hate to see when he gets free in the life. We in trouble. So I don't believe that. I don't believe in the amillennial or the postmillennial. I believe in the premillennial. I believe just what the Bible said, that it's going to take place prior to doing what it says right at the Battle of Armageddon. And we get to these places that leading up when this great harlot of Babylon, this systematic system collapse and fall because of the exposure of what God does to it. After that, then when the battle takes place, and then this false prophet, the false prophet and the Antichrist, we learn in chapter number 18, closing out chapter 19, that they was already through in the place called lake fire. Okay? So Satan now, his trinity has been destroyed, and he's the only one left, besides his demons, besides his trinity. So what happens here, a great angel comes down in chapter number 20 and binds Satan. When he binds him now, you have to understand, he takes him to his designated place. Write this down. He takes him to a place that we can familiarize with. It's a place called solitary confinement. That means you can be in prison and in jail, but if you mess up too bad, they got to put you in solitary confinement away from everybody. So Satan ain't going to have nobody he can negotiate with, talk to, mess up, because he's going to be in solitary confinement for 1,000 years. Y'all got that so far? Now, if Satan, when he goes to a place called solitary confinement, you have to understand, because of God's legal system, okay? Because God does everything according to his word. So when he puts Satan in what is called solitary confinement, he binds him with shackles that he can't break. Then he suspends him in a place where his feet's not touching and his head can't touch. He's suspended in the air. For 1,000 years he's shackled, and then the angel closed the lid and sealed it that no one can do visitation. That means no one can deal and talk with Satan for 1,000 years. He can't even get an advocate. And the angel is the only one that has the key. There cannot be a key duplicate. Now, if Satan is bound for 1,000 years, what do that mean on earth? Now, you got to understand, do not confuse this with now Revelation 21 or 22. Because the New Jerusalem ain't came yet. The new heaven ain't came. On earth ain't passed away yet. So what is Jesus doing? This is Jesus' second coming. Right now, second coming. His first coming was what? When he came for Calvary to die for the world. But then he will come in his second coming as king. That he will set up for 1,000 years what is called the millennial reign. Yes, sir. R-E-I-G-N, the millennial reign. When he set up this millennial reign, it is to do what? Because you have to understand now, for the last 7 years of great tribulation, there have been a generation and a society that, because the church has now been raptured in Revelation chapter number 4, they ain't heard nothing about the real God or the real Christ. So why is he doing it? Because in spite of everything, God's still looking for an opportunity that somebody can get saved even in the midst of it. And that's good. It takes a person that has outreach in your heart and love the Lord and a soul winner to get happy about that. Because sometimes we so selfish, we ready to go ahead and get this thing off and get up out of here. But there's some people that still need the Lord. There's some people that still need to be witnessed to, need to be ministered to, need to be evangelized. They need to be outreach. They still need to hear God is a good God. They still need to understand if God be for you, he's more than the world against you. And the last 7 years of the great tribulation,